Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahabushai, Bahasham, Rakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'm going to start it off in Isaiah 33, verse 1. Woe or destruction to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled, and when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. And I opened up this lesson with this verse to preface a clip from the brother Arrow of Indignation 144's YouTube channel titled, Hey Esau, you thought the 1% cared about you? A word of advice, pick yourself up by your bootstraps. And by this short clip, hey, we're going to see, Esau's complaints. That's this society he thought that he benefited from by so-called white or Edomite supremacy is not working out for him anymore. Hey, when thou spoilest, thou was not spoiled. And when thou dealt treacherously, when thou ceased to spoil, I'm going to just reread it. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. Because how did Esau, especially these Edomites in America, get everything they have? Through rape, robbery, murder, deception, etc., etc. And now that we're at the end of Esau Edom, being in power, hey, Esau is losing that influence. He's losing his strength. He's losing his reputation. And all these different nations are looking at him as the problem. And on top of that, this average everyday Edomite is seeing that his very own elites are turning against him and, looking at him like he looked at, your average so-called black person or a Latino or Native American out here, which are actually the true children of Israel. You're just a nigger like, Jake now, Esau, and it's only going to get worse for you because, these curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28, which were upon the children of Israel for our disobedience, hey, they're starting to transfer onto you. And, you're just not built for it like the children of Israel were built for it. As it says in Genesis 25, one nation shall be stronger than the other. But I'm going to play, the majority of this clip. And the brother has the copyright disclaimer on there, but I'll just say it as well. Fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
I'm going to say this at risk of my job, Kelly, but what President Trump is doing is insane. It is absolutely insane. It is about the 8th reason we've had for the tariffs, and now he's saying he's putting 50% tariffs on Canada unless they agree to become the 51st state. That is insane. There is just no other way of describing it. And the trouble, Kelly, is that it shows there are no bounds around President Trump. This is very different from the first administration, where there were people around him who seemed to, I don't know what the word is, but smooth over some of the edges now. And the other thing that's not talked about, Kelly, is what's going on within the administration in terms of how they're treating the Constitution and laws. I think all of that is bad for the attraction of capital. And the gentleman from Bridgewater is 100% right. We need massive amounts of capital if we want to fund our deficits, pay for the things we want to pay for, sell our bonds, and have high stock prices. And it seems as if this administration is doing everything it can to chase foreign capital away.
So let me tell you what's happening. White people have no idea, European Americans have no idea how to operate life in
Edomite Americans.
Survival mode. And that's what's coming. Even those those of us, I have a huge ass trauma timeline, and I still experience that with my privilege in place. I got a lot of survival skills, very resourceful, but still, I have privilege. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen when they cut your Medicaid? What's going to happen when they cut your Medicare as a white person? What's going to happen when they gut special education services for your white kids at school? What's going to happen when they gut mental health services for your white kids at school? What's going to happen when groceries become way too expensive to buy? What's going to happen? We don't know how to survive that shit.
Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled. Woe to thee that dealt treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. While these Edomites, are still devils, and they still screw over Jake. They're more subtle with it through the legal system. They're not outright doing it like they were back in the day when they were going into, so-called Native American villages and burning them down, forcefully deleting people and taking their lands and putting them into slavery. But, as this Edomite-looking person was going into, what's going to happen when they cut this, when they cut that, when grocery prices go up? Hey, your own elites are starting to deal treacherously with you, spoil you, and just throw you under the bus. And it's only going to get worse from here on out.
And we are so individualistic that we don't have community to fall back on either. And so many white people right now have no idea what's coming. We are about to be in a place where we have to figure out how to survive. And a lot of other communities that aren't white are saying good luck. Because we did this to ourselves. 3 out of 5 white men wanted Trump, 1 out of 2 white women wanted Trump. And Trump and Musk are destroying everything. Because y'all thought they'd protect your whiteness, or you thought a billionaire gave a fuck about you.
And the only thing Trump and his assistant President Elon give a fuck about is the agenda of the elites who are pulling their strings behind the scenes. And what their agenda is a foreclosure on America and bringing about that NW0, that great reset.
And it's falling apart. That is what's happening right now. And it's about to get real bad.
And he made a very beautiful point. We don't have a community to fall back on, and other nations of people are telling us, look, you got to figure it out yourselves. That's another thing that's coming to you Edomites, especially in America down the pipeline. These other nations of people rising up and turning against you. But that's it with that clip. Let's get to these precepts. This is Isaiah chapter 51. I'm going to read verses 21 to 23. Therefore, hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Speaking of the children of Israel. Again, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who have been drunken with the spiritual wine or spiritual philosophies of, these Edomites, especially America, believing in democracy, believing in equality, thinking you're black, Latino, Native American, all these things that have taken our people so far away from their true identity and have just further destroyed our communities. Feminism, single parent households, the welfare queens, thug and hip hop. And of course, we can't forget the alphabet community beginning with LG, which, the powers that be that run, Hollywood, social media, and a lot of these other platforms are Edomites, especially Amalekite Edomites, those small hats, and they put Jake's face as the forefront of all these wicked agendas they want to push. Verse 22, thus saith thy Lord Yahweh, and thy power that pleadeth the cause of his people. And I haven't gone into that word pleadeth in Isaiah 51 and 22, but I'm willing to bet it's that word shaphat, such as it is in Joel chapter 3, verse 2, which that word shaphat means what? To judge, to punish, to vindicate, which is exactly what Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah is about to do on our enemies. He's about to plead the cause of his people, be that judge over our enemies, which, actually, where I got it. Let's get that real quick. Joel 3. Wait, what am I doing? Isaiah 51:22. Actually, it's a different word. Strong's H 7378. Re'ib, to strive, contend, physically, to make complaint, to quarrel, to contend against. Hey, so it still goes along with it. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is about to contend, to quarrel and physically make complaint against the enemies of his children for the wickedness they've been doing against them. And at the top of that list are you Edomites, so-called white people. Behold, Salakia. Yahweh, and thy power that pleaded the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thy hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again. The cup of slavery, the cup of oppression, the cup of these curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28. And, while, our people are still under Deuteronomy 28 and, the elect, they still suffer from the curses of Deuteronomy 28, and they're not going to be fully taken off until Yahushai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, makes his second coming and saves, the elect, and then the kingdom of heaven is established. Then the curses are going to, truly be off of us. These curses are starting to come upon our enemies. They're starting to drink of that cup. Hence, why you're seeing all these Edomites all over social media, whether they be Trump supporters or not, complaining about the state of America and the state of their status, the cost of living crisis. I feel like a political and economic minority. There's no problem with being so-called white. That was my forefathers, them on the back foot trying to deflect from all the wickedness that their people have done. Even the dregs of the cup of my fury, thou shalt no more drink of it again, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down that we may go over. And, that's been the history of Jake in America. A second-class citizen, going to the back of the bus, drinking from different water fountains. And whenever Jake gets oppressed in this society and goes on a march, nothing ever changes. You see the crocodile tears, but it goes back to business as usual. These cops still hunt us, pull us over, give us tickets and delete us. You're still the first fired and the last hired, and you're always the face of every problem that this country goes through. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. Our people, physically getting laid down in the ground, getting put to death, and spiritually getting put down. You're black, you're a Mexican, you're a spick, you're a nigger, you're the lowest of society. We don't have to take you seriously at all. You're just a problem. This is Lamentations 4. I'm going to read verses 21 to 22. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee, that cup of oppression, that cup of slavery, that cup of the curses of Deuteronomy 28. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked, which these Edomites are making themselves naked right now. From the very top to the very bottom, you Edomites are being exposed for your hypocrisy, your oppression, and just being the root cause of the problems of the earth right now. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. That cup which we drank unto the dregs is being taken away from us. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. This is Deuteronomy 30, verse 7. And Yahweh thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecutest thee. And like I've been saying throughout the video, these heathens, beginning with these Edomites, aren't, fully under the curses right now, which is going to happen in the kingdom of heaven. But what? Those curses, that cup, is starting to transfer over unto them. Hence why you're seeing all these Edomites complain about their current situation. Now let's get some of the curses in Deuteronomy 28, which we can see, is starting to afflict them. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. And when you look at these Edomites, again, a lot of them living in the city or what? Dealing with that cost of living crisis, working multiple jobs, not being able to afford, the food like they want to. A lot of them living in their cars, just complaining. And the field is representative of the world. On a global stage, you Edomites are going through it. People are calling you out as the root cause of all the problems taking place. And, I've read a few articles recently showing that when you Edomites visit other countries, and, with these articles, it was dealing with India, those Elamites are messing you up, especially you Edomite women. You had a Israeli woman, get raped on a trip. And you had a woman from, I think she was from Britain. She met a man in India, and at the hotel room, he raped her. And then when she went down to the hotel lobby for help, the man that helped her there groped her. And then there are all kind of stories of you Edomite tourists going to different places and getting kidnapped and butchered out here. Verse 17. Cursed shalt thou be in thy basket and in thy store, with your financial funds. You got a lot of Edomites feeling that burden out here. Again, working multiple jobs with nothing to show for it. Living in their cars, just completely going through it. Verse 18. Cursed shalt thou be in the fruit of thy body and in the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep. And especially in America, you got a lot of these farmers complaining about the government not helping them out, with these subsidies, these corporations putting that squeeze to them. And then you've had a bunch of adverse weather events destroying croplands and, destroying their, cattle and herds. We've got the avian sneeze taking out a lot of birds. And then there's been droughts taking out a lot of cattle. You can go to 2 Esdras chapter 15, where it talks about how all these curses shall plague Egypt again. The blasting and the hail and the fearful constellation shall cause those that till the ground to mourn. And one of the names for America in the scriptures is spiritual Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8. Verse 19, cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. switching over to the whole MGTOW red pill, movement, the men's movement right now. Edomites are complaining about how their wives aren't showing them any love and giving them that cold shoulder. So what, when Esau comes to the house, he's got to worry about bills. He's got to worry about his wife giving him hell. And now Edomites are getting put on slavery. They're not putting on child support, which, is slavery. They're feeling the brunt of what the so-called Black, Latino, and Native American man have been feeling for decades. And cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. When you go out into the world, you got to deal with people giving you that side eye because of your so-called white skin and you being looked at as the problem. You getting robbed or deleted out here. But now I'm going to jump down to verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Going back to that MGTOW, you got a lot of Edomites complaining about how, women they've been married to for 5, 10, 15 years, they find out they're cheating on them. They find out that their own children are not theirs. It's bad out here for Esau. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. When these Edomite women divorce their husbands, they take the house, they take the children, and move the new man into their house while they got to go live in a studio apartment. And, there's a running meme that the woman that Esau's, the man that Esau's wife leaves him for and, cheats on him with and is living in the house, eating his tuna fish, is usually a so-called black man, Tyrone. Thou shalt plant a vineyard and shalt not gather the grapes thereof. And again, while these Edomites aren't fully under the curses, which is going to happen in the kingdom of heaven, they're starting to feel the brunt of it, which, let's X some of these out. I'm going to play that clip one more time and just let these precepts we've read through sink in.
So let me tell you what's happening. White people have no idea, European Americans have no idea how to operate life in survival mode. And that's what's coming. Even those of us, I have a huge ass trauma timeline, and I still experience that with my privilege in place. I got a lot of survival skills, very resourceful, but still, I have privilege. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen when they cut your Medicaid? What's going to happen when they cut your Medicare as a white person? What's going to happen when they gut special education services for your white kids at school? What's going to happen when they gut mental health services for your white kids at school? What's going to happen when groceries become way too expensive to buy? What's going to happen? We don't know how to survive that shit. And we are so individualistic that we don't have community to fall back on either. And so many white people right now have no idea what's coming. We are about to be in a place where we have to figure out how to survive. And a lot of other communities that aren't white are saying good luck. Because we did this to ourselves. 3 out of 5 white men.
It's going to get worse than them just saying good luck. This is Obadiah chapter 1. I'm going to read verses 1 to 2. And this whole chapter is dedicated to the judgment and the downfall of you Edomites. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. These different nations coming against you, which a lot of them are doing economically right now. Just look at the BRICS, an economic and financial alternative to the Western financial system. And eventually it's going to go from what? Currency wars to real wars, as Gerald Celente always says. Verse 2, Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And that can go into two things: you actually being the global minority, and your reputation being made small and despised amongst the heathens. Like I've been going into throughout the whole video, these different nations of people are looking at you with that side eye and calling you out as being what? The colonizers, those that have raped, robbed, and murdered these different communities out here. And like that Edomite looking person in that clip said, because he could very well be a Israelite foreigner. And I believe a brother who's used his clips before in another video said he has a so-called black woman as a wife. Hey, but regardless, the sentiment he has, what these Edomites are feeling is true. He said, these other communities are looking at us and telling us, good luck. Hey, I've made these small amongst the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. And when society truly collapses out here and it's every man for himself, hey, you Edomites are going to be the main target out here. This is Isaiah chapter 13. I'm start at verse 14. And it shall be as the chased roe, and that's speaking of you Edomites, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. We're seeing that right now with a lot of these nations leaving America and going back to their home countries because what? The financial system is deteriorating here. Down here in New Orleans, you had a chain of gas stations / fried chicken places called Brothers, which was owned by, they were either so-called Arabs or so-called Pakistanis. So they were either Ishmaelites or Elamites. But, it was found out that they weren't paying, or they didn't have licenses to sell alcohol and tobacco, and were doing a lot of backdoors deals. So what? A lot of their brothers is closing down, and I heard they fled the country. And, you got a lot of nations just fleeing and going back to their own places. But, for our people in America, and hey, you Edomites that were born and raised to be red-blooded patriots, you've got nowhere to flee to. So you're going to be as that chased roe when all hell breaks loose out here. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, and their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. There's going to be race wars out here. And I'm speaking to you Edomites right now. But hey, this also applies to you Israelites and you other heathens. When society collapses and you're not found amongst your own, you like to live in these neighborhoods that are predominantly a different race of people from your own. You think you're best friends with your neighbor because you've gone to his kids' football games or he's had a barbecue at your house. It's not going to matter in that day. There's going to be breaking into houses, you getting deleted out here, your children getting deleted before your eyes, and your wives getting raped. Hey, this is the great judgment of Yahweh Bahashem Yahabushai coming down the pipeline. And going back to that Isaiah 51 and that Lamentations chapter 4, this is a part of that cup that's being passed to you Edomites, which you are definitely about to drink down to the dregs. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.